Welcome to Lasea class. I am your teacher, Jan Lasea.
Ladies and gentlemen, a blessed day to everyone. This is my fifth lecture on our subject, ITE 124, Event-Driven Programming. In my previous lecture, I explained the array declaration, array of objects, graphical user interface controls, such as menu, status bar, dialog boxes, and list view control. Also, I demonstrated using Visual Studio IDE on how to use the said GUI controls. Today, we are going to learn the GUI control called Tab Control. Windows Tab Control is a useful control that allows you to display multiple dialog tabs on a single form by switching between the tabs. A tab acts as another form that can host other controls. It is analogous to dividers in a notebook or the labels in a file cabinet. By using a tab control, an application can define multiple pages for the same area of a window or dialog box. Each page consists of a certain type of information or a group of controls that the application displays when the user selects the corresponding tab. Ladies and gentlemen, I demonstrate how to place a tab control on a window form and set up some of its properties and write C# codes to navigate its tab pages. I already made a Windows Form .NET Framework application using the Visual Studio IDE. Let us place now a tab control. Using the toolbox, locate the name of the GUI control called Tab Control, and then simply drag and drop onto the Windows form 1. Let us position this tab control and then resize it with the width of the client rectangle of form 1 or the Windows form 1. As we can see, the default number of tabs are 2, and they are called tab page 1 and tab page 2. Let us modify some properties of the tab control. The name of the tab control that I just recently drag and drop is named tab control 1, as we can see here in the properties panel. If I scroll up and look the name of the tab control, and here we can read tab control 1. Let us go to the property of this tab control called anchor. This anchor property allows to adjust the width and the height according to the position of the tab control inside the form. Before modifying the anchor property, let us run and test first. Let us first save all and then build clean solution and then rebuild solution. And here in this case, in our output panel down below, 1 succeeded, 0 failed, 0 skipped. So let us run and test. I click the debug menu and then select start without debugging. And we can see here the running of the Windows form. We have the tab control that has 2 tab pages, tab page 1 and tab page 2. And right now it is empty. If I change the width or the height of the form, the width and height of the tab control remain fixed. If I maximize the window, still it remains fixed. The anchor property allows us to adjust this width and height of the tab control. Let us close now the Windows application and go back to the Visual Studio IDE. I left click this tab control 1, and then in the properties panel located at the right bottom, let us proceed to the property name anchor, and then we will modify the property of this anchor. Right now, the currently selected value for the anchor is top left. Let us add the right and then the bottom to adjust. And then we press the enter key to accept the anchor. If we run it once again, build clean solution, build rebuild solution, and then debug and then start without debugging. Right now, the Windows application is already run. If I change the width and height, you notice that the tab control adjusts its width and height according to the client rectangle width and height of this Windows form. If I maximize the window, it will also adjust the width and height of the tab control. That's the purpose of the property anchor. Let us close down the Windows application and go back to the Visual Studio IDE. Another property of the tab control that we will going to set is the cursor property. So I will assign a value hand to the cursor property. Next to that, we go and locate the property show tooltips. And let us place a value which is true. And then we will now add one tab to make it 3 tabs all in all. And to add, there are 2 ways how you can add. You can click this arrow, small arrow, and then select add tab. Another way is from the properties panel. We locate the property name tab pages, and then in that tab pages property, click the button with dot ellipsis, and then it will display a dialog box. And here in this case, we can see now the 2 pages as the default. And if we want to add, we simply click the add button to make it a 3 pages. Let us modify the label of the tab page 1, 2, and 3. I select tab page 1 and then modify the property name, which is text, located onto the right side, and then we will name it sports. And as we can see, it immediately modified the label of the first tab. Let us modify the second tab. I select tab page 2 and I will change the text to music. And then I select tab page 3 and then modify the text to anime. Now let us momentarily click OK to close this tab page collection editor, and let us place a image beside the label sports, music, anime. To place images beside those labels of the tab pages, we need to add a GUI control called image list. Let us go back to the toolbox and locate the image list control and then drag and drop onto the form, Windows form. And here it is placed here. There is no visual object that represents the image list. The control image list, the purpose of this is to store images that the tab control will going to use. To store images in the image list, let us go to the property of that image list, and the property name is called images. I click the button with ellipses, and then a dialog window appears on the screen, let us add 3 images for the 3 tab page labels: sports, music, anime. I click the add button, and then I will select a image for the first picture. For the first tab, I will add another image, and then I will select that picture, and then the third image, I will click the add button, and then I will select that picture. And let us click OK to close this image collection editor, so that the image list will be used by the tab control. Let us select this tab control, and we go to the property of this tab control 1. The property name is called image list, and here it is. Let us click the drop down button, and then select that image list called image list 1. And after that, we go back to the tab pages. We go back to the tab pages here, and then click the ellipsis button, and we went back. We go back to this tab page collection editor once again. Onto the tab page 1 entitled sports, let us locate the property name called image index. I click the image index drop down button, and then select image index 0, and as we can see, the picture appears beside the label sports. Let us select tab page 2. Also, we will going to modify the image index. We will select image index number 1, and as we can see, the picture appears beside the label music. Finally, I will select tab page number 3 and modify the image index, and then select index image number 2. And let us specify some property of the tab pages. Let us select tab page number 1, and the property tooltip text, we will place a text which is sports, and that will be the tooltip that will appear when we mouse hover the mouse onto that tab page named sports. Let us select tab page number 2, and we will place a tooltip text music, and let us select tab page number 3, and then we will place tooltip text anime. Let us now click OK to close the tab page collection editor, and let us save all, build clean solution, build the rebuild solution, and let us run and test. If I move the mouse onto that tab page label sports, we can see now this tooltip appears underneath the mouse cursor. If I mouse over the music, the tooltip music will appear, so goes with the third tab. Let us place some GUI control inside the tab pages, or inside its folder pages. So let us close the Windows application. To place a GUI control, any GUI control on every tab pages, we need to select this rectangular area for the tab page number 1, and then this rectangular area is the tab pages, or tab page I should say. Let us modify the background of this tab page number 1. We will change the background color from white to cyan. So let us go to the property back color, and then assign a different color so that we can differentiate which one is sports, music, and anime. Next, let us go to the second tab, music, and then select this tab, this tab page rectangle area, and then modify its background color. We will not modify this music background color. We will assign it as white. Let us go to the third tab instead, which is anime, and modify its background color. To do that, we need to select this tab page area of the third tab anime, and then we go to the property name back color, and we will change its back color to lime, or a color green, like that. So we can differentiate which one is music, sports, and anime. Let us go back to the first tab, sports, and let us place some GUI controls like label and buttons. So let us go back to the toolbox and then place a label. I will place a label. We will modify the text of that label, sports, and then let us modify the font, make it bold, size larger, like 28 perhaps, and then the fore color to blue, and let us select that label and then align it horizontally centered. Let us place a button. So let us drag and drop a button, and then modify its name to BTN next 1, BTN next 1. Let us modify its caption or text property to next. Also, its cursor property to hand. Okay. Let us modify also the anchor of the label sports so that it will adjust. So I select the sports label and let us modify the anchor. We will assign a anchor which is top. So I deselect this left, and then the top is selected, and I press enter key. Let us also change the anchor of the next button. So I select the next button and then go to the anchor property. I will deselect the top and then the left, and then I will select the bottom and then press the enter key. Let us run and adjust the width and height of the form and see if the label sports and the button next will also adjust. So let us click Save All, Build Clean Solution, Build the Rebuild Solution, and then click Debug and then Start without debugging. Let us change the width and height, and we can see now that the sports adjust center horizontally. Also with the button next, it will also adjust center horizontally, located at the bottom. Next, let us copy the label and then the next button. So I select these two, I press Ctrl C, I go to the second tab page, music, and then before you press Ctrl B, save, you need first to select this tab page area, this rectangle. So I will I left click it to select, and then I press now Ctrl B to paste. I modify the label sports to music. I modify the name of this next button. I will name it BTN next to, BTN next to. Let us copy this button and then change its property name BTN Prev 1, and then its text property we will change it to previous. Let us swap it like this, and then select the two and then center horizontally. Let us copy the label music, and then the two buttons. I press Ctrl C, copy. I select the third tab, and then do not yet press Ctrl B. You need to select this green rectangle, the tab page area, left click it, and then press Ctrl B. Let us modify the label to anime. I select the Preb button, and I will name it Preb BTN Preb BTN Preb 3. Let us select the next button, and I will modify its name. I will name it BTN Next 3. Let us run and test. The first tab appears, and we can see the label sports, and then the next button. If I click music, the background is white, and then it has a label music and two command buttons. If I click anime, we can see the label anime and its two command buttons. As we can see here, we observe that the arrow is a hand cursor. We will modify the behavior of the arrow, that it will shape as a arrow pointer, not a hand cursor, because if you see a hand cursor, that means that this area is clickable, including the label. So let us close the window. Let us go to the first tab, and then select this green tab page, and then modify its cursor, not a hand cursor but a default cursor. Let us go to the music, select the tab page rectangle white, and then modify the cursor to default value. The reason why that the value of the cursor is hand, because it inherited the property of the tab control 1. Finally, we go to the sports tab, select the cyan tab control area, and then modify the cursor to default. Let us place a code in the next button, so that whenever we click it, it will move to the second tab, which is music. Now, before doing so, the tab pages have indexes like an array. The first tab page, which is sports, is at index 0, while music is at index 1, and anime is at index 2, and so on. Let us select the next button, and then go to the mouse click property, and then double click this drop down area, and let us place a command that it will move and show the second tab page. The command is, we will reference the name of the tab control, which is name tab control 1. Place a period, and we will call the method select tab, and then we will pass a index. The index of the second tab is at index 1. So whenever the user click the next button on the first tab, sports, the tab control 1, that select tab at index 1 will move and show the second tab, which is music, and it will be active. Let us test it. So let us say first, build clean solution, build rebuild solution, rebuild succeeded. Let us run and test, start without debugging. If I click the next button, it will show now the second tab. Let us also place codes to this prep and next button and of the second tab and also with the third tab. We observed that if I mouse hover the next button, it does not change the cursor to hand. So let us modify the property cursor of the buttons. So I close now the Windows application, switch to the form design, select the next button. I click these properties and then modify the cursor to hand. Let us go to the second tab, music, select the prep button. I press and hold the control key and then select the second next button, and then I will change the cursor to a value which is hand. So both of these two selected buttons, prep and next, change its cursor value property to hand. Finally, in the anime tab, let us select both the prep and next button and then modify the cursor property to hand cursor. Let us go back to the second tab, music, and let us double click the prep button and then place a code tab control 1 dot method select tab, and we will pass the index 2 so that it will move to the second third no, this is a previous button, so we will pass an index of 0 so that it will move to the previous tab page. Let us go back to the form design and let us place a code to the next button that it will move to the third page. So double click the next button, I paste that code, and I will pass the index, which is index 2, that it will show the third tab page, which is anime. Let us go back, switch to the form design. Let us go to the third tab page name anime, and let us place a code to that previous button. And whenever the user click the previous button, it will go back to the second tab at index 1. Let us go back to the form design and then put a code in the next button. If the user click the next button from the tab number 3, which is anime, it will proceed to the first tab. So therefore, we will pass a index which is 0. Let us compile, run, and test. Build clean solution, build the rebuild solution, click debug menu and then start without debugging. Let us test the command buttons. If I click the next button, the second tab music appears. If I click the previous button, the first tab appears and become active. If I click the next button and then I click the next button, the third tab anime will appear. If I click the next button, it will go back to the previous button. If I click the next button, next again, and then if I click the previous button from the third tab anime, it should switch and activate the second tab music. If I modify or adjust the width and height, the tab control will also adjust its width and height, including the labels and then the two previous two command buttons, previous and next. Finally, let us place a title to our label. So let us go back to the toolbox and then place a label. and we will modify its label caption to, and let us modify also the property font style bold, and then 28, and then we will change the fore color to blue. Let us align it center horizontally, and let us also modify the anchor property of that label, so that whenever we adjust the width and height of the form, it will also adjust. And we will assign a property which is top, and then I press the enter key. One more compile, run, and test. I click the build menu, clean solution, build menu again, rebuild solution, rebuild all succeeded, 0 failed, 0 skip. Let us run and test. Let us adjust the width and height of the form. We can also maximize, and as we can see, this label adjusts center horizontally. I posted your fifth assignment in our Google Classroom. Please answer and accomplish it.
That ends our topic for today. I hope you are inspired in my class. Thank you for watching. God bless us.